Have you ever wondered why the people who once walked away suddenly find their way back into your life? The same ones who left you in pieces now return, acting as if they never broke you? They disappear when it's convenient, only to reappear when they sense you've moved on. Why do they come back? And more importantly, what should you do when they do? Stay with this video till the end, because what you're about to hear will shift your mindset. If you've ever been hurt, abandoned, or betrayed, this will be the most important message you'll hear today. Now let's talk about the cycle of hurt and return. Some people don't come back because they miss you. They come back to see if they still have access to you. It's not about love, it's about control. It's about feeding their ego. They want to know if you're still there, still waiting, still willing to give them another chance. But ask yourself, if they truly valued you, why did they leave in the first place? When someone walks away from you, they are making a choice, a conscious decision to remove themselves from your life. But when they return, it's rarely because they've changed. It's because something in their life has changed. Maybe they didn't find what they were looking for elsewhere. Maybe they thought the grass was greener, only to realize it was just an illusion. Or maybe, just maybe, they realized that you were the best thing they ever had. But the question is, does that mean they deserve a second chance? People will hurt you and walk away because they assume you will always be there. They believe that no matter what they do, you'll still pick up their calls, you'll still respond to their messages, you'll still welcome them back with open arms, because that's who you are. You are forgiving. You are understanding. You see the good in people, and they know that. That's why they take advantage of it. But here's what you need to understand. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. If you let them come and go as they please, they will never respect you. If you keep opening the door for someone who constantly walks out, they will never learn to value what's inside. And when they come back, it's not always because they're sorry. Sometimes it's just because they lost access to what you gave so freely. People don't always return because they care. Some return because they are lonely, because they miss the version of you who tolerated their mistreatment, because they want to see if they still have a hold on your heart. But your life is not a revolving door. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone's second option. If they left, let them keep walking. See, the problem isn't that they left. The problem is that you keep letting them return. You keep convincing yourself that this time will be different, that they've changed. Those things will finally work out. But let me ask you this. How many times has history repeated itself? How many times have you given someone another chance only to regret it? When they come back, it's not just a test of their intentions, it's a test of your growth. Will you repeat the same cycle, or will you finally break free? Will you choose your peace over their presence? Will you choose self-respect over attachment? Because here's the truth. When you stop allowing toxic people to return, you make space for the right people to stay. There's something powerful about not responding, about staying silent when they reach out, about not giving them the reaction they expect. Because silence speaks louder than words. It forces them to sit with their own choices. It forces them to feel the weight of their absence in your life. And that is a feeling they will never forget. So when they come back, ask yourself, are they here because they truly value me, or because they fear losing me? Are they here to build something real, or just to see if they still have control? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Now that we understand why they come back, the next step is even more important. What should you do when they return? That's where the real strength comes in. Keep watching, because the next part of this video will show you exactly how to handle their return with power, confidence, and unshakable self-worth. People don't always return because they miss you. Sometimes they return because they miss controlling you. The ability to leave and come back whenever they please makes them feel powerful. They know you once gave them access to your heart, and they assume that door is still open. This isn't about love. This is about power dynamics, about testing if they can still manipulate your emotions. They don't just want to be in your life again. They want to see if they still own a piece of your mind. When they walked away, they expected you to wait. They expected you to sit in silence, wondering if they would ever return. They expected you to be available the moment they decided to come back. And if you give in, if you welcome them without hesitation, you confirm what they already believe, that they never truly lost you. But here's what they don't understand. You are no longer the person they left. They come back hoping to find the same version of you that loved them despite the pain they caused. The version of you that was willing to overlook the red flags. The version of you that put them first, even at the cost of your own peace. But that version of you no longer exists. The moment you recognize their return as a test, you gain control over the situation. You see through their patterns. You stop reacting the way they expect. And when they realize they can no longer manipulate you, that's when they feel the real loss. Understand this. When someone truly values you, they don't gamble with your presence. They don't risk losing you to learn your worth. They don't disappear when it's convenient, only to return when it suits them. People who operate from a place of control don't want equals in their relationships. They want obedience, not partnership. They want someone who will accommodate their selfishness, someone who will prioritize their needs over their own. They return not to offer love, but to reclaim control. This is why your reaction matters. If you let them in without questioning their intentions, they win. If you accept their words without demanding real change, they win. If you lower your standards just to keep them around, you lose. The most powerful response you can give is distance. No reaction, no explanation, no access. Nothing disturbs a controlling person more than losing the power they once had over you. They expect you to chase, to question, to ask for closure, but when you do the opposite, you shatter their illusion of control. Not everyone who loses you regrets it. Some only regret losing the ability to use you. The moment you understand this, you start making decisions that serve your peace, not their ego. The question isn't why they came back. The question is, why should you let them? People don't always return because they've changed. Sometimes they return because you were their safe place. You were the one who listened, who cared, who gave them love when they didn't deserve it. And now that they've wandered the world and faced reality, they crave the comfort they once had with you. Familiarity is powerful. It makes people believe that just because something feels right, it must be right. But feelings alone are not enough. You must ask yourself, are they coming back because they love you or because they miss the way you made them feel? There's a difference. When people leave, they often chase something new, new excitement, new opportunities, new distractions. But eventually they realize that new doesn't always mean better. They remember the loyalty, the warmth, the security you provided, and when they struggle, when life humbles them, they start looking back at what they lost. But just because they miss what you gave them doesn't mean they value who you are. They miss the version of you that tolerated their inconsistency. The version of you that forgave without question. The version of you that stayed even when you should have walked away. So when they come back, don't let nostalgia cloud your judgment, because familiarity can be deceptive. It can make you believe that history should be repeated, when in reality, some chapters were meant to stay closed. The truth is, it's easy to return to something that feels safe, but that doesn't mean they've earned another chance. The real question is, if they truly valued you, why did they risk losing you in the first place? You are not a home for people who only seek shelter when their world falls apart. You are not a comfort zone for those who take you for granted and then return when life gets tough. If someone only appreciates your presence after they've explored their options, they don't deserve the privilege of being in your life. There is a difference between someone who chooses you and someone who settles for you when everything else falls apart. Learn to recognize the difference, because the moment you accept someone who sees you as their backup plan, you lower your own worth. Let them miss you. Let them realize what they lost. Let them sit with the consequences of their choices, but never allow their sudden realization to make you forget how easily they let you go. People return to what's familiar, but that doesn't mean you have to let them back in. Growth means understanding that just because someone feels like home doesn't mean they are good for you. Some doors are meant to stay closed, no matter how many times someone knocks. When they come back, they won't return empty-handed. They'll bring words, carefully chosen words, apologies wrapped in regret, promises that sound different this time. They'll tell you they've changed, that they see things clearly now. But before you believe them, ask yourself this: why did it take losing you for them to realize your worth? Real change doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen because someone is afraid of being alone. It happens through deep self-reflection, through effort, through time. But most importantly, change isn't proven through words. It's proven through consistent actions. People will say whatever it takes to regain what they lost, not because they are different, but because they don't like how it feels to be without you. They miss what you provided, not what they can offer you. And that's the difference. A person who truly changes doesn't return seeking comfort. They return ready to give what they once failed to provide. But here's what you need to understand. Regret is not the same as change. Regret is about them, their pain, their loneliness, their realization that they made a mistake. But change is about you. It's about respecting your boundaries, treating you right even when it's inconvenient, loving you without conditions. And most of the time, when people return, they aren't offering real change. They are offering regret disguised as transformation. And if you accept their words without proof, you fall right back into the same cycle. You'll find yourself believing in potential instead of reality, holding on to hope instead of patterns, waiting for them to become who they promised instead of seeing them for who they have always been. But here's the truth. If someone truly changed, they wouldn't need to convince you. You would see it. You would feel it. Their actions would speak louder than their apologies. They wouldn't return with rehearsed words. They would return with real accountability. So don't be fooled by well-crafted speeches. Don't be moved by temporary effort. If someone is serious about being in your life, they won't just tell you, they will show you over time, through action, without pressure. Because love is not about winning you back, it's about never putting themselves in a position to lose you again. Nothing teaches a person your worth more than your absence. When someone knows they can hurt you and still have access to your life, they have no reason to change. No reason to respect your boundaries. No reason to value what they once took for granted. The biggest mistake people make is thinking that explaining their pain will change someone's behavior. That if they just find the right words, the right way to express their hurt, the other person will finally understand. But that's not how it works. People don't change because they finally see your pain. They change when they feel the loss. When you walk away, you take back control. You take away their ability to manipulate your emotions. You break the cycle of them coming and going whenever they please. Because as long as you are available, as long as they know they can return whenever they want, they will never truly appreciate you. There is a reason people only realize your value when you stop giving them access. It's because they never expected to lose you. They thought you would always be there, waiting, forgiving, hoping. They thought they could leave and return as they pleased without consequence. But when you finally decide that you deserve better, when you choose peace over chaos, something shifts. They start to panic. They wonder if they have pushed you too far this time. They start searching for ways to pull you back in. Not because they suddenly respect you, but because they don't know how to handle losing the one person who gave them unconditional love. But here's where most people go wrong. They mistake panic for change. They mistake desperation for sincerity. They hear the apologies, see the sudden effort, and believe that this time things will be different. And so they give in, they let them back in. And within weeks, sometimes even days, the cycle repeats. The same behavior, the same patterns, the same disrespect, because nothing truly changed. Walking away isn't about punishing someone. It's about choosing yourself. It's about refusing to entertain people who only appreciate you when they're afraid of losing you. It's about valuing your own peace over the temporary comfort of someone's return. Because the truth is, if someone has to lose you to realize your worth, they never truly valued you in the first place. Silence is powerful. It does what words cannot. It forces people to sit with their own actions, to face the reality of what they've done. When you stop explaining, stop arguing, stop trying to make them see your worth, that's when they start feeling your absence the most. People expect a reaction. They expect you to plead, to beg for closure, to demand answers. They expect to see proof that they still have an effect on you. And when you give them that reaction, you confirm their importance in your life. You show them that their presence or absence still controls you. But when you remain silent, you shift the power. You force them to sit in the discomfort of their own choices, to wonder what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing without them. Your silence becomes the loudest message you could ever send. Silence makes people question. It makes them reflect. It makes them uncomfortable. And that discomfort, that's where the lesson is learned. Because when you refuse to engage, when you refuse to feed their ego with your attention, they begin to realize something. They are no longer in control. And that's when the panic sets in. That's when they start reaching out, trying to pull you back into their cycle. Not because they suddenly respect you, but because they need to know they still have access to you. They need to know they can still get a response, still affect your emotions. But you have to stay strong. You have to understand that breaking the cycle requires discipline. You can't teach someone to value you by continuing to let them in every time they feel like coming back. You can't heal in the same place that broke you. When you stay silent, you reclaim your power. You prove to yourself that you don't need their validation. You don't need their explanations. You don't need their empty promises. You don't need someone who only sees your worth when you're no longer there. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. It is the decision to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It is the understanding that the right people will never put you in a position where you have to prove your worth. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. There's a big difference between missing you and wanting you. And this is where most people get trapped, mistaking one for the other. When someone misses you, it doesn't always mean they respect you. It doesn't mean they've changed. It simply means they feel the absence of what you provided. They miss the way you made them feel, the love, the attention, the security. But missing you is about them, their loneliness, their regret, their loss. It's not about you or what's best for your future. But when someone wants you, truly wants you, it's not about just filling a void in their life. It's about effort. It's about choosing you even when things aren't easy. It's about showing up with real change, with real accountability, with real consistency. This is why so many people fall into the same cycle. Someone from the past reappears, full of sweet words and nostalgia, and suddenly all the pain they caused gets pushed aside. The mind starts remembering the good times, the happy moments, the love that once existed. But memory is deceptive. It highlights the good and minimizes the bad. And if you're not careful, you start believing that because they miss you, they deserve another chance. But ask yourself this: do they truly want you, or do they just miss what you gave them? A person who only misses you will come back when they feel lonely, when life humbles them, when they need a temporary fix for their emotions. But once that emptiness fades, once they feel comfortable again, their old patterns will return. A person who truly wants you will prove it through actions. They won't just miss you when they need something. They will value you even when they don't. This is where self-respect comes in. You must recognize that just because someone reaches out, just because they express regret, doesn't mean they deserve a place in your life. Regret is easy, but effort is rare. Don't settle for someone who only realizes your worth in your absence. Don't allow someone to treat you like an option when you were always the priority. Missing you is a feeling. Wanting you is a commitment. Know the difference. Because the moment you stop accepting half-hearted love is the moment you start attracting the love you truly deserve. When they come back, they don't always return with honesty. Sometimes they come with tactics. They use guilt, nostalgia, and empty promises to pull you back in. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake their manipulation for love. They'll remind you of the good times, hoping you'll forget the bad. They'll talk about the memories, the laughter, the connection you once had. Not because they want to fix what they broke, but because they want to keep you emotionally tied to them. They want you to question your decision, to doubt your strength, to believe that maybe, just maybe, things could be different this time. But here's the truth. Love is not manipulation. Love is not guilt. Love is not about control. If someone truly cared, they wouldn't need to manipulate you into staying. They wouldn't need to use your emotions against you. They wouldn't need to make you feel bad for protecting your peace. One of the most common tactics manipulators use is playing the victim. Suddenly, they're not the one who hurt you. They're the one who's hurting. They talk about how much they've struggled without you, how hard life has been, how they can't function without your presence. And because you have a kind heart, you feel sorry for them. You start to believe it's your responsibility to help them heal, to give them another chance, to be the one who saves them. But you are not responsible for fixing someone who repeatedly broke you. You are not responsible for carrying their guilt. You are not responsible for staying in a cycle of pain just because they're finally feeling the consequences of their actions. Real love doesn't require manipulation. Real love doesn't demand that you sacrifice your peace for someone else's comfort. Real love is built on respect, trust, and effort, not on guilt, fear, or obligation. So, when they return with sweet words and sad stories, pay attention to their patterns, not their apologies. Look at their past behavior, not just their present emotions. Because the person who truly values you won't use manipulation to keep you. They will prove their worth through their actions, not through words designed to make you doubt yourself. The hardest part about walking away isn't leaving, it's staying gone. Because when someone who once held space in your heart comes knocking again, your mind will play tricks on you. It will remind you of the good times, the laughter, the connection. It will whisper, maybe they've changed. It will make you wonder, what if I'm making a mistake? But here's what you need to remember. You walked away for a reason. You didn't leave because it was easy. You didn't cut them off because you stopped caring. You left because you finally chose yourself. You finally decided that your peace, your happiness, and your self-respect were more important than their inconsistency. But they will test you. They will send messages that tug at your emotions. They will act like they've suddenly realized your worth. They will say the right things, hoping to reopen the door they thought would always be available to them. And this is where your true strength is tested. Do not let loneliness be the reason you go back to something that broke you. Do not let the fear of starting over make you settle for a cycle you already escaped. Growth is painful, healing is uncomfortable, but nothing is more painful than repeating the same mistakes. People don't change just because they feel the loss. They change when they genuinely want to be better, not just when they fear losing access to you. And real change isn't proven by words, it's proven by actions over time. If someone truly values you, they won't make you question their intentions. They won't keep you in a cycle of doubt. They won't leave you wondering if they will hurt you again. So when they come back, ask yourself, are they showing real growth or just regret? Are they taking accountability or just avoiding loneliness? Are they consistent in their actions or just temporary in their efforts? Your future is too valuable to waste on recycled pain. Your energy is too precious to give to someone who only remembers your worth when they feel your absence. You don't heal by going back to what hurt you. You heal by choosing yourself every single day. Walking away is one thing. Staying away is where self-respect is truly tested. Because the moment you choose yourself, the moment you stop entertaining half-hearted love, something powerful happens. You shift the energy. You stop seeking validation from those who never valued you. You stop accepting breadcrumbs when you deserve the full feast. You stop making excuses for people who had every opportunity to treat you right but still chose not to. Self-respect is not about pride. It's not about proving a point. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for anything less. It's about recognizing that just because someone wants access to you again doesn't mean they deserve it. Many people come back not because they love you, but because they lost control over you. They return not because they've changed, but because they see you changing. They see you healing. They see you setting boundaries. They see you becoming the person they never thought you could be without them. And that scares them, because when you finally step into your power, you become dangerous to those who thrive on your insecurities. You become a version of yourself they no longer have power over. That's why they test you. They want to know if you still react the same way, if you still crave their approval, if you'll still fall for their words without requiring real action. But here's the truth. Self-respect doesn't negotiate. It doesn't beg for closure. It doesn't wait for someone to finally see your value. When you respect yourself, you don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to entertain someone's return just to show them what they lost. Because you already know what you bring to the table. And when you know your worth, you stop handing discounts to people who only show up when it's convenient for them. So when they come back, remember who you've become. Remember the lessons. Remember the tears. Remember the nights you prayed for clarity. Don't let nostalgia make you forget why you walked away in the first place. Self-respect is the greatest form of power. And once you fully embrace it, you'll never let anyone play with your heart again. Walking away is an act of strength, but keeping the door closed, that's where true power lies. Because they will try again. They will send messages. They will show up where they know you'll be. They will remind you of the love you once shared, the moments that made you smile. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake their persistence for proof that they care. But remember this, real love doesn't need to beg for another chance. Real love never required you to suffer first. They didn't value you when they had you. They didn't appreciate your loyalty when it was freely given. And now that they feel your absence, now that they see you rising, they want back in. Not because they've suddenly realized your worth, but because they never thought you'd actually choose yourself. It's easy to romanticize the past when you're lonely. It's easy to believe that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. But the past already gave you its answer. It showed you the truth. And every time you look back, every time you consider reopening that door, you delay the blessings waiting on the other side. Strength is not just about walking away. It's about resisting the urge to go back. It's about knowing that peace is worth more than temporary comfort. It's about trusting that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. Because the moment you fully close that door, something incredible happens. You stop living in cycles. You stop questioning your worth. You stop waiting for someone else to give you the love you were always capable of giving yourself. And when you finally break free from the past, you make space for something real. You make space for healing. You make space for a future that no longer carries the weight of old wounds. So when they come knocking, when they try to pull you back into the same old patterns, remember who you've become. Remember your strength. A closed door isn't a loss. It's a victory. A declaration that you will no longer entertain what once broke you, that you are moving forward with or without them. And that right there is the moment you truly win. Closing the door is one thing. Walking forward without looking back is another. Because even after you've let go, even after you've chosen yourself, there will be moments of doubt. Moments when the silence feels louder than the chaos you left behind. Moments when your mind plays tricks on you, whispering, "Did I make the right choice?" That's when you need to remind yourself. You didn't walk away to escape. You walked away to evolve. There is nothing behind you that will take you where you're meant to go. The past served its purpose. The lessons were learned. The pain shaped you. But growth demands that you keep moving forward. Because regret is a trap. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of what ifs and maybes. But what if you started trusting yourself instead? What if, instead of looking back, you focused on what's ahead? The reason some people struggle to heal is because they keep revisiting the same wounds. They keep reopening doors that were meant to stay closed. They keep looking for closure from people who were never capable of giving it. But real closure isn't something you get from someone else. It's a decision you make for yourself. You do not need an apology to move on. You do not need them to understand the pain they caused. You do not need them to validate your feelings. You just need to choose your future over your past. There is no power in staying where you were broken. There is no strength in trying to rewrite a story that already ended. Strength is in the forward motion. Strength is in trusting that life will replace everything you lost with something greater. But that can only happen when you make peace with the past. When you stop looking for answers in places that drained you. When you stop waiting for people to be who they never were. Your future does not need them. Your healing does not depend on their return. So don't walk with regret. Don't let doubt creep in. You made the right decision when you chose yourself. And every step forward is a step toward the life you truly deserve. Because the moment you stop questioning the past, you start embracing the future. And that's when everything begins to change. Moving forward isn't just about walking away. It's about making yourself unreachable to what once broke you. Because some people don't just come back to reconnect. They come back to see if they still have access to you. They come back to see if they can still manipulate your emotions, if they can still control your reactions, if they can still pull you back into their cycle. That's why true healing isn't about distance alone, it's about access. It's about ensuring that even if they try, they no longer have a place in your life. It's about becoming a version of yourself that no longer resonates with the old patterns, the old pain, the old habits that kept you stuck. Because when you truly heal, the things that once tempted you, that once weakened you, no longer have power over you. Healing is not just about feeling better. It's about becoming better. It's about evolving past the point where their return even matters. Where their apology, their regrets, their attempts to reconnect no longer shake your foundation. Because the moment you rise above the person you were when they had access to you, they can no longer reach you. That's why some people panic when they feel you slipping away. That's why they suddenly want to fix things, to explain, to make amends. Not because they've changed, but because you have. And deep down, they know they're losing their hold over you. So don't give them an opening. Don't entertain their words. Don't fall into the trap of believing that just because they miss you, they deserve you. Because missing you is not the same as valuing you. Regret is not the same as respect. And someone wanting another chance does not mean they've earned it. The strongest version of you is the one who no longer needs closure, no longer seeks validation, no longer entertains distractions from the past. You don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need to explain why you've moved on. You don't need to announce that you've healed. Your growth will speak for itself. Your silence will say everything they need to hear. Because when you become unreachable, you become unstoppable. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves to stand in the presence of your peace. Because peace is expensive. It costs too much to be given away to people who don't appreciate it. It costs too much to be handed back to those who once disturbed it. And once you fought for your peace, once you built a life without chaos, you must protect it at all costs. That means understanding that some people only come back to see if they still have the ability to shake you. They don't come back because they've changed. And they don't come back to add value to your life. They come back because they've lost control and they want it back. But control is not love. Control is not care. Control is about power. And when you let someone back in who once broke you, you give them permission to do it again. You have to ask yourself, is their return worth your peace? Is reopening the door worth losing all the healing you fought so hard for? Is entertaining their words worth the risk of falling back into the same pain? Because here's the truth. People who truly care about you wouldn't have left you in the first place. They wouldn't have needed to hurt you just to appreciate you. They wouldn't have risked losing you if they truly saw your worth. And now that they see you rising, now that they see you unbothered, now that they see you smiling without them, they want back in. Not because they want to love you the right way, but because they can't stand seeing you thrive without them. But not everyone who wants access to you deserves it. Not everyone who regrets losing you deserves another chance. Because peace is not something you negotiate. It's not something you gamble. It's not something you place in the hands of those who once shattered it. Your peace is sacred. Your mind, your heart, your energy, they are sacred. And once you finally experience life without stress, without manipulation, without the weight of toxic cycles, you realize that nothing is worth losing that feeling. So let them regret losing you. Let them watch you from a distance. Let them wonder what happened to the version of you that would have given them another chance. Because that version of you no longer exists. You've grown, you've healed, and now your peace is priceless. There comes a point where you must decide, do you keep looking back or do you move forward? Because every time you entertain the past, you slow down your future. Every time you let someone back in who once hurt you, you open wounds that were meant to heal. You were not meant to live in a cycle of regret and repetition. You were meant to grow. Growth requires sacrifice. And sometimes that sacrifice is letting go of the people who once meant everything to you. The people you thought would never betray you. The ones you gave countless chances to. The ones you believed would change. But not everyone grows at the same pace. Not everyone learns from their mistakes. And some people will return, not because they've changed, but because they see that you have. That's why moving forward is so powerful. It forces people to face their own choices. It forces them to realize that they took you for granted, that they underestimated your strength, that they thought you would always be there waiting, hoping, hurting, but you're not that person anymore. You're not waiting. You're not hoping. You're walking forward with purpose, with clarity, with confidence. And that's why they feel the need to come back. Because they never expected you to actually move on. They never thought you'd outgrow them, outshine them, outlast them. But now they see it, and they feel it. And that's why they panic. That's why they send messages late at night. That's why they suddenly miss you. That's why they try to remind you of the good times. But the truth is, if they truly valued you, they would have treated you right when they had you. If they truly cared, they wouldn't have left you with scars. So let them feel the weight of their own decisions. Let them carry their own regret. Let them watch as you rise higher, knowing they no longer have a seat at your table. Because your future is waiting, and the only way to reach it is to keep moving forward. At some point, you have to stop looking back and start focusing on where you're going. Because life doesn't wait for you to heal. It keeps moving forward. And so should you. The people who hurt you, The ones who walked away, the ones who only valued you when you were no longer available to them, they are lessons, not destinations. They were meant to teach you, not to stay with you. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to accept that people you once loved could be so careless with your heart. It's hard to believe that someone who meant the world to you could treat you like an option. But the truth is, some people only realize what they lost once it's too late. That's not your burden to carry. Their regret is not your responsibility. Their sudden desire to return is not a sign to open the door. It's a sign that you were always worth more than they ever saw. And now you see it too. It's why they come back. Because you are no longer the same. You are stronger, wiser, more aware. You have risen above the pain they left you with. And they can feel it. They can feel the absence of your energy. They can feel the silence where your kindness used to be. They can feel the weight of your absence more than they ever valued your presence. But don't mistake their regret for love. Don't mistake their loneliness for change. If they truly valued you, they would have protected you when they had you. You are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone's second chance just because they finally realized your worth. Your future deserves better. Your heart deserves better. And you deserve to walk forward without dragging the past with you. So close the door. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Close the door because you have grown too much to fit into the version of yourself that tolerated less than you deserved. Walk away with confidence. Walk away knowing that your greatest comeback will not be proving them wrong, it will be proving yourself right. Because when you choose yourself, when you choose your peace, when you choose to keep moving forward, that is the moment you win. Now, if this message spoke to you, if it reminds you of your worth, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more powerful messages like this. Your future is waiting. Keep moving forward.